Okay, good day everyone. Let me share my screen. Is anyone can confirm if the voice is clear? Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. So today we're going to talk about one of the most common cybersecurity job, and the one more suitable for people who don't have a cybersecurity background and they want to join this field, except they don't have any technical background or maybe a very weak technical background. This is a very common scenario where we find people they want to move from their current job, but they don't want to take the normal path where they need to learn network basics and operating system and SIM solutions. They want something more into the cyber or information security management. So the GRC analyst is one of the most common jobs for those people who are not with a technical background or people who are new to the cybersecurity field. So what I wanted to share with you today is how to become a GRC analyst. What is the prerequisite? And more important, what do I need to learn to become a GRC analyst? This is actually the main purpose of this video. So GRC analyst is the people inside any organization who are responsible for three main elements: governance, risk, and compliance. How to design and implement an information security governance, and we're going to talk about that. How to conduct the risk assessment, and how to make sure your organization comply with the standard and the regulation. So the best way to evaluate that, or the best way to understand exactly what is the skills needed, is to go through any GRC job description. When you read a job description, you will get to know more about the skills needed to qualify yourself for a position like that. So this is a real GRC analyst position. And as you can see, the job actually description, the responsibility of the GRC analyst are mainly focusing on three different skills. First, compliance. You need to understand first, governance. You need to understand what is information security governance, how to design and implement information security governance. This is one of your responsibility. Second, risk. You're going to need to know about information security risk and not the full risk process, because risk it's a big topic, and risk management start from deciding about the methodology to risk assessment to risk treatment to risk monitoring. But as a GRC analyst, you need to know exact only how to conduct the risk assessment. And third, the audit. How can I audit an organization? How can I check the compliance level of our organization? So when we actually start looking into the job responsibility, we will find those two elements are highlighted here. So I'll focus about the important point, and I will explain how to gain this kind of skills realistically. Okay. So one of your responsibility as a GRC analyst is to assist in develop and implement information security governance. How can we do that? A lot of people think about governance is just to build policy. Yes, this is right. Part of it is to build policy. But governance, it's much more detailed and much more deeper than that. It's not hard to understand, but it's how to make the information security support the business. So when we build an information security governance framework, we try to align the information security with the business, because Information security governance, because governance is a big topic. We have data governance, we have information technology governance, we have information security governance. I'm talking specifically about information security governance. When we actually make the information security support the business, this actually aligns with any strategic objective of any organization. I mean, when you implement the governance in the right way, creating policy and procedures, identify role and responsibility, providing KPIs to measure the performance of information security, when you do that the right way, what will happen is the trust in this organization will increase. The compliance level will increase. You will increase. You will prevent your company from getting into legal problem and financial penalties and so on. And this is what any organization is looking for. No one wants his company to go into legal problems and financial problems and lose the reputation of their customer. This can only be done if you implement governance the right way. So it's not something technical. It's more as identifying role and responsibility for each one inside the organization, and to be able to measure that, to be able to measure the compliance level. So this is actually the first skills that you need to be aware of. Second skills is related to risk assessment. You will be responsible for conducting a risk assessment, identify the risk of any organization for different departments, and validate the mitigation plan or validate what different department will do to be able to align with the risk or mitigate the risk. So risk assessment is part of your job, and you're going to need to understand how we are doing that. The good thing is that we are not really into the full risk management process. It's only the risk assessment. And this part regarding the risk assessment, it's not really a hard part, because some people, when they hear about risk assessments, they think it's very complicated. It's not that complicated. It's just to identify problems that may happen and what is the likelihood of happening and what will be the impact. And this is usually can be identified while talking to people. So for example, if in my laptop I don't have an antivirus, which is a vulnerability, it's a weakness inside my antivirus, and accordingly I may get a virus. Now, what is the likelihood, what is the probability of getting a virus? If someone talk to me, the GRC analyst, and start asking me question, okay, how frequently you are getting virus? Every what? Every weeks, every months? Are you using USP from unknown source? Are you downloading programs from untrusted website? If you receive any email, do you click on it? When you start asking me question as a GRC analyst and all my answers are yes, so most probably I will get a virus. So as a GRC analyst, you're going to need to learn how to gather this kind of information, to be able to figure out or to be able to find the likelihood of a risk to occur. And it's much more simple that you may expect conducting a risk assessment. Then you will be responsible to conduct, so here is the risk assessment and risk mitigation. You are not the one who's doing the risk mitigation or risk treatment, but you are more into the validating the mitigation. So you will conduct the risk assessment, you will provide that to the department, and then they will provide a mitigation plan or an action that they will take. And you're going to have to validate that. Is it valid, or they are just replying back with whatever they have in mind? And the third skills is the audit skills. Okay, how to conduct audit. And this is also not complicated, because you are just audit controls related to a compliance or control related to a standard. So how can I do that? You need to know the process, how to plan for an audit, how to audit the organization, how to write the report. So checking the responsibility, you will not find anything pure technical. expecting that you have a deep technical skills or a deep technical knowledge. They are not expecting that you know about TCP network, you don't know about OSI models, different firewall or any security appliance or solution. It's just a management position. And the skills is quite simple. This is very suitable for people who want to start working in the cybersecurity, but they are not ready to start from scratch. They don't have the time or the knowledge to start learning technical first. Now, scrolling down in the job description, you will also notice something very important, that the GRC analyst, most of the time, they don't request that much of years of experience. A lot of jobs will request like 10 years of experience, 8 years of experience, except the GRC analyst. Because the GRC analyst skills, it's easy to gain in a short period of time. So when you apply for jobs and you are new to this field, it's okay. You may be getting an interview for them. So the number of years as number of experience years is not really a barrier, or it's not something that will stop what you are planning for. What do I need to be a GRC analyst? Now, you need to learn those main skills: risk assessment, you need to learn about information security governance, and you need to learn about audit. These are actually the compliance audit, because you are not in the implementer of the compliance, but you audit the compliance. Those mainly are the task, and there is plenty of videos on YouTube about those kind of skills. So it's not really hard to find the right topics and to understand. It's all logic, nothing to be memorized, all to understand the logic behind what we are doing. Now, to start applying and getting jobs, if you, for example, decided to take 3 months or 6 months to get yourself ready, which I think it's more than enough, what is the main values that you need to have? First, you need to have experience with more than one standard of compliance. So you need to be familiar with standard and compliance like ISO 27001, NIST, GDPR, HIPAA. Knowing more about standard and compliance will give you a very good advantage, because you don't know which job you will get. You may get something in healthcare that follow HIPAA if you are in US, or follow another standard if you are in Europe or Middle East. You may get a job in the financial sector. So getting to read and learn about different kinds of standard and different kind of compliance will give you a added value. The good point here, or the advantage, or the good news here, is that there is a lot of similarity between the different standard and compliance. For example, let's say that you read the ISO 27001 and you watch a lot of videos and you feel comfortable about that. If you're going to read NIST, for example, you will not find any problem, because the requirement is almost the same: access control, incident management, risk management, and so on. If you, for example, work with GDPR, or you have some experience, and then you read HIPAA, which is a healthcare standard, you will also find a lot of similarity. So this is really not a big deal, knowing more about standard. But it's important, because when you go for an interview, they will ask you which standard or which compliance you are familiar with. Then, and I think this is very, very important, conducting or have some experience in risk assessment. And here is the challenge, guys. This is, I believe, this kind of skills to audit the risk assessment. I think this is the challenge. What challenge I'm talking about? The point here, guys, is that learning risk assessment is easy. Just Google it or search on YouTube. You will find tons of videos that explain risk assessment very, very well and very, very detailed. So you will get the concept. But this is not enough. You have to do that yourself. And to be able to conduct a risk assessment yourself, you need to have a real scenario. How can I conduct the risk assessment randomly? I need to have a company with a list of assets and with a list of vulnerability and threats, or list of risk and then I will conduct risk assessment. I need to have data to practice on. And this is the problems that you need to solve to be able to bypass this point. Because when you go for an interview as a GRC analyst, they will not ask you to define, they will not ask you what is risk assessment, what is vulnerability and threats, what is risk score. No, it's not an academic entity. They will ask you, did you conduct a risk assessment? What is the common risks that you found? What is the actions that you took when the management decided not to mitigate the risk? So unless you did that yourself, not only one time, maybe 3, 4 times, this will be a challenge. And to be able to do that, the tasks that need some kind of practical experience, practical in the sense of having data to be able to practice. This is my point. I mean, I need to have some real data that come from a real organization. Asset register, interview question, details, list of incidents that happen in the company. I need to have something to be able to use it to practice, to build a risk assessment based on those data. How can we do that? There is a different way actually, but the most recommended way, there is a lot of websites that provide a platform to practice projects. For example, Mastercard, they have a very good website that allow you to practice some of the cybersecurity projects. Not a deep one, like for example, they will give you a project like a KPIs to create a KPIs. They will give you a project about and how to create an incident report, this kind of thing. But other platform may have deeper project. For example, here we have a lot of GRC project. For example, they will give you a scenario and they will tell you here a scenario and we want you to do the following. We want you to do a gap analysis. We want you to do a risk assessment. But the point here is that all the resources will be available on the portal. So you can read the scenario, you can know exactly what is needed, you can get the template. You need a template for risk assessment, you need a template for audit, you need a template. And you're going to read the scenario and you will have also the data uploaded. So if this is a case related to healthcare, you will find everything that you need to read and start working on your risk assessment. And more important, once you finish that, you can upload it to the platform and then someone will review it and they will tell you if you did it right or wrong based on what you read. So I think this is solving the main challenge of the program, which is how can I gain some real experience that allow me to start applying. So here we have a very, very good scenario. We have a job that doesn't have or doesn't request a deep knowledge, a cybersecurity knowledge, or a 7-10 year of experience or a technical background. No, anyone who are changing his career or starting from scratch or fresh graduate, he can start in this field. It's good. It's not hard to understand or gain. It mainly depends on the analytical part. So it's something that once you do it once or 2 times, you will get the skills, and it has a lot of demand in the market. And we do have a lot of platforms that will provide you with projects to practice on it, because it's not deep project. So this is the GRC Analyst. Few points I would like to say before I close the session, that this job really needs some kind of analytical skills. You need to analyze the situation, ask the right question, gather the right information. So it's something that you can work on it, your analytical skills. You need to get the skills where you can understand the business, how it operate, what is the dependency, what kind of risks they have. So it's not technical at all. I mean, it's more into understanding the business and the dependency of it. And finally, it will be quite useful once you gain the skills to take one of the relevant certificate. Like, I usually recommend CISSP. It's very, very useful. Or C-Risk. C-Risk, it's more relevant to the GRC analyst. However, don't do it the opposite way. Opposite way mean that some people will start taking the certificate and then they consider by getting the certificates they will find the jobs, and during the jobs they will learn the real experience. It shouldn't be done this way. Certificate should be the last milestone, the last activity or the last task that you need to do. You need first to learn. You need to get a job description like that and see what do I need to learn to become a GRC analyst, and start taking point by point and try to understand it. So things that you can learn through videos, through courses, through YouTube is fine. Things that need practice like audit, like risk, those activity, you can search for platform who can provide you projects to practice on it and evaluate your work. And this will let you gain the skills in a short period of time. This is very briefly about the GRC analyst. Do your own research. It's a very, very good opportunity. It doesn't need that much of experience, and it's easy to gain in a short period of time. Okay. Let me see if there is any question before we close the session today. No, we don't. Okay. Finally, just wanted to let you know that the project platforms that I just explained and the GRC analyst training and program, it's part of our platinum membership that has a very, very, very high discount during the Black Friday up to 29 of November. So if you want something specifically or guided or something lifetime access to use it, I think this could be a very good chance. But this discounted, which is very, very high, it's more than 85%. It's up to 29 of November. Okay, I think that will do it. If we don't have any question, I believe we can close the session. Okay, thank you so much for your time.